You think your failure was a setback? It wasn't. It was a signal, a crack in the old version of you, so something better could break through. But most people miss it. They confuse the fall with the end. They think the pain means they're not good enough, not ready, not built for this. But let me tell you something Napoleon Hill knew, something that changed everything for those who dared to try again. Failure is never final. It's formation. And in the next 20 minutes, I'm going to prove to you that every single failure you've experienced, every rejection, every loss, every moment you thought you weren't enough, was actually preparing you for something greater than you ever imagined. Think of every person who made history. They were all marked by the same scars. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before the light bulb. Abraham Lincoln lost 8 elections before becoming president. Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first television job for being unfit for TV. Steve Jobs was kicked out of his own company. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers. Rejection, loss, bankruptcy, embarrassment, public humiliation, private breakdowns. What separated them from everyone else wasn't talent. It wasn't money. It wasn't luck. It was this: they used failure as fuel. Where others stopped, they studied. Where others blamed, they built. Where others quit, they climbed. Napoleon Hill spent 20 years studying the most successful people of his time: Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, John D. Rockefeller. And do you know what he found? Every single one of them had experienced devastating failure. Not once, not twice, multiple times. But here's what Hill discovered that changed everything. They didn't just survive their failures, they transformed because of them. Hill called it a temporary defeat, not a dead end, just a detour on the way to something better. Think about your own life for a moment, right now. Can you identify a failure that seemed devastating at the time, but looking back, it redirected you towards something better? That's not coincidence. That's the law Hill was talking about. Every failure is a course correction. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. Every ending is actually a new beginning in disguise. Failure is not your identity. It's feedback. The problem is that you've been trained to take it personally, to see it as proof that you're broken, that you're behind, that you're not enough. But what if the opposite is true? What if that failure is proof that you're trying, proof that you're alive, proof that you're growing in ways success could never teach you? Let me tell you about Napoleon Hill's darkest moment. After years of research, after interviewing hundreds of successful people, he found himself broke, absolutely broke. His manuscript for Think and Grow Rich was rejected by publisher after publisher. People called his ideas too philosophical, unrealistic, naive. He had 2 choices: accept that he was a failure, or reframe what failure meant. Hill chose reframe, and in that moment of choosing, he discovered what he would later call the secret, the one principle that separates those who rise from those who remain fallen. The secret is this: your mind is the only thing you have complete control over, and the moment you take control of how you interpret your experiences, you take control of your destiny. Think about it. The most valuable lessons don't come from the wins,
They come from the wounds. The loss taught you how to focus. The heartbreak taught you how to choose better. The delay taught you how to prepare. The rejection taught you how to refine your approach. The bankruptcy taught you the real value of money. The betrayal taught you who to trust. That wasn't failure, that was education. The most expensive, most valuable education you could ever receive. And here's what most people don't understand. Success can make you comfortable, but failure makes you competent. Success can make you confident, but failure makes you wise. Success can make you popular, but failure makes you powerful. Because when you've been to the bottom and climbed back up, nobody can intimidate you anymore. When you've lost everything and rebuilt, nobody can threaten you with loss. When you've been broken and healed yourself, nobody can break you again.
Napoleon Hill wrote this nearly 100 years ago, and it still stands. Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. But only if you look for it. Only if you lean in instead of shutting down. Only if you extract the lesson instead of burying the pain. Let me tell you about a woman named Sarah Blakely. She failed the LSAT twice. She was rejected from law school. She sold fax machines door to door for 7 years. 7 years of rejection. 7 years of no. 7 years of people slamming doors in her face. But in those 7 years of failure, she learned something invaluable. How to handle rejection without taking it personally. How to persist when everything seems hopeless. How to believe in herself when nobody else did. That education, that expensive, painful education, prepared her for what came next. When she had the idea for Spanx, she was rejected by manufacturer after manufacturer. But this time she didn't give up. This time she knew that rejection was just part of the process. Today, Sarah Blakely is a billionaire. But here's what's important. It wasn't the success that made her remarkable. It was how she transformed her failures into fuel. So ask yourself right now, what did that failure come to teach me? Was it teaching you patience? Was it teaching you persistence? Was it teaching you discernment? Was it teaching you self-reliance? Was it teaching you humility? Was it teaching you strength? And don't stop until you get the answer, because inside that answer is your next level. Hill understood something profound about human nature. We don't grow in comfort. We grow in challenge. We don't become stronger when everything is easy. We become stronger when we're forced to reach deeper than we ever thought possible. Your failure wasn't random. It was purposeful. It was preparing you for something that requires exactly the strength you're building right now. Think about a muscle. A muscle only grows when it's stressed, when it's pushed beyond its current capacity, when it's forced to adapt or break. Your character works the same way. Your resilience works the same way. Your wisdom works the same way. That failure you experienced, that was your character being stressed so it could grow. That was your resilience being tested so it could strengthen. That was your wisdom being forged in the fire of experience. You fell? Good. Here's what to do next. Step 1. Name it. Don't run. Don't hide. Don't pretend it didn't happen. Say what happened out loud.
own it completely. Napoleon Hill called this facing the facts squarely. You cannot fix what you will not acknowledge. You cannot heal what you will not feel. You cannot overcome what you will not own. Step 2. Reframe it. What's the lesson here? What strength was being built? What skill was being developed? What character trait was being forged? Hill discovered that successful people have a unique ability. They can find opportunity in every obstacle, not because they're naturally optimistic, but because they've trained themselves to look for the benefit in every experience. Step 3. Extract the wisdom. What will you do differently next time? What systems will you put in place? What boundaries will you establish? What skills will you develop? This is where most people stop. They acknowledge the failure. They try to stay positive about it, but they don't extract the actionable wisdom. And without the wisdom, they're doomed to repeat the same patterns. Step 4. Burn the guilt. You're not supposed to be perfect. You're supposed to evolve. Guilt is not humility. It's self-indulgence. Shame is not accountability. It's self-destruction. Hill wrote extensively about the destructive power of negative emotions. He called them the 7 major negative emotions: fear, jealousy, hatred, revenge, greed, superstition, and anger. But I would add one more to that list: guilt. Guilt keeps you stuck in the past when you need to be building the future. Step 5. Recommit with intelligence. Decide again, but this time come back with wisdom. Come back with strategy. Come back with the lessons learned from your temporary defeat. This is not about blind persistence. This is about intelligent persistence. Persistence informed by experience. Persistence guided by wisdom. Step 6. Take massive action. You want to change your life? Don't wait for healing. Don't wait for certainty. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Move through the mess. Hill understood that action cures fear. Action builds confidence. Action creates momentum. And momentum is the bridge between failure and success.
The truth? You were never meant to rise in comfort. You were designed to rise in chaos. Hill studied this phenomenon for decades. He noticed that the most successful people didn't just overcome adversity, they seemed to thrive because of it. They didn't succeed despite their failures, they succeeded because of them. He called it the habit of persistence. But it's more than that. It's the ability to use every setback as a setup for a comeback. So the more you fail, the more equipped you become. The more you struggle, the more precise your next move becomes. Let me tell you about a man named Ray Kroc. At age 52, he was a struggling milkshake machine salesman. 52 years old. Most people his age were thinking about retirement. He had failed at multiple businesses. He was divorced. He was nearly broke. But he had something more valuable than money. He had the wisdom that comes from failure. He had learned what didn't work. He had developed persistence. He had built resilience. When he discovered the McDonald brothers and their simple system for fast food, he didn't just see a restaurant. He saw a system that could be replicated.
And he had the experience, the hard-earned experience from years of failure to know how to build that system. Today, McDonald's is one of the most successful businesses in history. But here's the key. Kroc couldn't have built McDonald's at 22. He needed those 30 years of failure first. He needed that education. He needed that preparation. Your failures are preparing you for something specific, something that requires exactly the skills, the wisdom, the strength, and the resilience you're developing right now. Every stumble sharpens your steps. Every scar builds your armor. Every loss teaches you what really matters. Every rejection refines your approach. Every setback strengthens your resolve. And the best part? Nobody can take that from you. Not a boss, not a system, not the market, not your past, not your critics, not your circumstances. You earned it in pain, and that makes it real. That makes it yours. That makes it permanent.
Napoleon Hill called it transmutation, the ability to transform one form of energy into another, to take the energy of failure and convert it into the energy of success, to take the pain of defeat and convert it into the power of victory. This is not positive thinking. This is practical alchemy. When you experience failure, your body produces stress hormones. Your mind creates neural pathways associated with pain. Your emotions generate energy, raw, powerful energy. Most people waste this energy on regret, blame, and self-pity. But the wise, the successful, they channel this energy into action, into learning, into building, into growing. They understand that the same energy that could destroy them can also transform them. Think about coal and diamonds, same basic element, carbon, but one is created under normal pressure, and one is created under extreme pressure. The pressure doesn't destroy the carbon, it transforms it into something precious. Your pressure is not trying to destroy you, it's trying to transform you. But you have to work with it, not against it. You have to lean into it, not away from it. You have to use it, not waste it. You think people admire success? They don't. They admire the ones who got knocked down and still stood back up. They admire those who've been through the dark and still carry light. They admire those who've been broken and rebuilt themselves stronger. Think about the people you most respect. I guarantee you it's not because their lives were easy. It's because they made something beautiful out of something broken. It's because they turned their mess into their message. It's because they transformed their pain into their purpose. So if you're in the middle of a storm, if you're facing your own temporary defeat, if you're wondering if you have what it takes to rise again, don't you dare give up. You are not broken. You are breaking through. Every failure has been preparing you for this moment when you decide that your past does not determine your future. This moment when you decide that your circumstances do not define your destiny. This moment when you decide to rise. Not because it's easy. Not because you feel ready, not because you have all the answers, but because you have something more powerful than answers. You have experience.
You have wisdom. You have strength. You have resilience. And you have the unshakable knowledge that you can survive anything life throws at you, because you already have.
If this hit you, if you felt this in your chest, it's because your time is now. So don't scroll away. Don't pretend you're fine. Don't tell yourself you'll come back later. Do this right now. Subscribe to this channel. Like this video if it moved you, and share it with someone who needs to rise. Comment below with one failure that's actually preparing you for your next level. Own it, name it, transform it. We're building something different here, not just motivation, mental transformation. And it begins when you decide to grow from what tried to break you. Your failure was not the end of your story. It was the beginning of your legend. Now go write the next chapter.